Hi YouTube, Coinpicker here. Here are my thrift store finds for the last couple weeks. Sorry, being busy, didn't have a chance to make a video about it. But they've been slowly accumulating, so I definitely had to make a video. So first of all, I went to a thrift store that had a whole bunch of books and other things, and picked up this really old looking book. To Dr. Selby from Mrs. Parker, Christmas 1938. Palmerston by Philip Guedaya. Right, so the book is about the Second Empire, the partition of Europe, 1715 to 1815, Napoleon and Palestine, a lecture. What's really neat is they have a lot of prints, really good quality. It has that like tissue paper to protect it. See this impressed line there? But it's really neat. And show you. Someone used this as a bookmarker. It says John Scott Tully, January 29th, 1937. Mr. and Mrs. John D. Tully. Pretty cool. So yeah, all books were $1. So I picked this one up, and it has like a reproduction letter in the middle. I thought it was cool. Probably not gonna read it. I don't know, for $1, maybe I'll see if my local antiquity bookstore will pick it up. You know, they offer me $10, I'll sell it to them. And next, I was at my, I wouldn't say local Salvation Army, it was probably the further, store further out, probably a good 20 minutes away from me. Going through their cups and glasses, I found this. And I think it is made in Italy, probably from maybe from the 60s, 50s or 60s. And this is called Latticcio, I guess like lattice, the crisscrossing effect. They made these glass ribbons, and then near the end they connected them all together, like rolled them together, just like candy making. But for 99 cents, look at the workmanship. It has little gold sparkles and everything. Too bad I only found one. It would be nice even to have a pair. No signature. I think this is called Venetian glass. Venetian glass, not Phoenician glass. Probably from the island of Murano in Italy. But I just thought it looked so cool. And that's all glass, all different colored glass. So it's like an, I guess, artist's art glass piece. And then what we have, I went through the Value Village, and right against the wall, they have all this junk jewelry and costume jewelry. And I found this, and the chain is actually silver, quite long. A little bit on the pricey side for what it is, $7.99. But I thought it was really cool because this is a vinaigrette. I couldn't find any markings on this. but the quality, everything's all like silver soldered. you open it up, there's like a little sponge that they could soak with perfumes. And usually back in the old days, you know, like when the ladies walked down the streets and, you know, it was, let's say, I don't know, as old as, you know, when they used to have open sewers, but if the ladies long time ago, you know, smelled, oh, it's stinky outside, they would just pull this from their chain and just put it to their nose and, you know, smell some perfume to mask the odor of the street. Pretty neat, like really good quality. This should have been in the glass display case. I would say they could have asked like, I don't know, 20 bucks for something like this with the chain. But yeah, $7.99 was pretty good. And I'll just show you some really interesting items right over here. So I see these things at the Salvation Army thrift store, and it looks like Chinese export candlesticks, like porcelain. So I look at them closely, and there's no markings, but I did a Google search and found some comparables. They were only $2.99 each, so I could not go wrong. So the bottom part is porcelain, and the front is, I guess it's all porcelain, but it's glazed. And whenever you see these little dots, they say it's iron leaching out of the porcelain. I guess because due to age over time, and it's like rusting. So it's a good sign. And what's really funny is, you know, I see a lot of this like modern Dutch stuff, like Delft, that has, you know, like so mediocre painted, you know, Chinese style blue and white, you know, porcelain. And I looked at this, and you know, it just looks very old, like based on some sort of brass candlestick back in the day in Europe. So I guess the Chinese used to make things that would sell or export to Europe that is of, you know, European style for that market. And I thought, wow, the color looks really odd on the top, like it's yellowing, as if, you know, maybe it was water damaged or something. But here's the kicker, right? First of all, these motifs are like Buddhist motifs. And I think my father-in-law mentioned that, oh, it's very well known, you know, decorations, like certain, you know, twin scrolls and whatnot. I think that's like a gourd. But yeah, like the 8 treasures or something like that. But when I brought it home, and you know what, I started picking at the yellowed color, and someone actually took the time, I guess a former owner, they were putting it up, like the worn areas, and painting over, but not painting, like they're painting it white, but around the decoration, because I was looking at it, I was going, wow, the border of the decoration looks very odd. I think this one, which I didn't change, I didn't mess with, might show it. Well, it doesn't. But I start picking at it, and I see all this, you know, like wear and tear that definitely could have been from hundreds of years, well, maybe 150, 200 years of use. And when I picked off the yellow, it's actually bright white. And they painted it, and I guess the paint over time changed, or I think maybe they put a shellac on top of the paint. And actually they took the effort to duplicate some of the simple blue inking that to try to make it look original. And I picked that all off, but yeah, let's see if I can show you. Yeah, see how here that white sort of goes into the design a bit, because that's the extra layer on top. And I picked some off and it's like bright white. So it might have been in someone's family for many generations, and they didn't want to do, maybe they paid someone to do, you know, like a restoration back in the day. But I like it original, so I started to clean it up, started to pick off all the repairs. I want it to show its age. So I still have quite a bit to do. See, I want it all to look like that white there. But I probably will have to use some sort of, like maybe acetone. So yeah, this was all like some sort of rubbery filler material I picked off. But they didn't do anything to the bottom. They didn't mess that up. So I'm assuming, you know, over the years, maybe it was all banged around on the top part, you know, people moving and whatnot, things falling off shelves. But yeah, I put hot water down the center and got rid of the wax that collected, I guess, over the years. And I would say these would probably be maybe, I think if it's authentic, maybe from the 1700s during the Kangxi Emperor period. But it could have been, you know, reproduced 100 years after that, who knows. But just comparing the pictures online of that, you know, export material from China of the Kangxi period, blue and whites, there are lots of similar, very similar pieces to this. And for $3 each, I mean, that's a no-brainer. I think I've seen some online authentic ones. They probably go for, I don't know, $400 or $500 each, which that would be nice. But I like them. They're gonna go on my mantelpiece after I clean them all up. And you know, they were made by hand, so you know, there's different motifs. They're not all identical. And I'll show you another treasure. Found this silver fork. I think it's like probably 80% silver. Mixed in with the spoons, forks and spoons and whatnot. $1.99, and it doesn't say silver. It looks like a hoof, like some sort of deer hoof on the other side, or other end, I should say. And what tipped me off was, I think it's Dutch hallmarks. You see that? The sword? So I believe that's the Dutch silver mark. I think it's 80% for that mark. How's that twang? $2. It'll go in my stack. And then I found these babies at the Salvation Army, different location, right on the shelf. They always put these little knickknacks on the shelf. Ruby glass, or is it called cranberry glass, ruby glass, 99 cents each. And there is a mark. These pop off. The little basket part, they are sterling. See, it says, you can barely see it, but with all the tarnish, sterling. And then I forgot which company produced it, but I believe it's some North American company, either American or Canadian. You know, those ones that eventually get like bought out by the huge companies like Burke's bought smaller silversmiths over the years. Yeah, Burke's is one of the bigger or biggest, I guess, jewelers in Canada. Long history. But yeah, I forgot which company this was, but I think these are probably from the 1920s, give or take, you know. but they're really nice. I really like the color of the glass. There's no flea bites, they call it, you know, no little tiny chips, which is nice. Bonus. Look at that cut glass. They're salt cellars. So back in the day, people would just say, "Oh, pass the salt," and it's like grab a pinch and, psh, you know, or maybe they had a little spoon and scooped it, a little silver spoon and scooped it out. But you know, how quaint, you know, really nice. And then I usually don't buy these things, but I saw it and I think I had to come back another day and still saw it there and had to get it. You know, my name is Coinpicker, so you know I love coins. But look at this. It's in some sort of acrylic. It's a pen holder. $5. You know, if it was just any, you know, bunch of random coins, I would think, oh, $5, forget it. You know, I mean, I would say, oh, I'll pay $2 for that. But the funny thing is, they actually put a very scarce coin in here. It's not silver. These are coins. These coins are from 1991. Like from Canada, and you see here, the quarter is the rare one. Back in 1991, or I think 1990, when they were producing coinage from 1991, they had, no, it would probably be during 1991. They had the Royal Canadian Mint in Canada. The workers went on strike for, I think, like 6 months. So usually the quarters run, you know, when they do the quarter run, I think they produce usually like 40 million quarters, 25-cent pieces. But because of the strike, only 500,000 were produced. So in like MS60 condition, you probably can pick one up for like, I don't know, $15 Canadian. But I already have one. I found one coin roll hunting, which is, it took me like more than 10 years of coin roll hunting to find one. And yeah, I don't think I ever bought, maybe I bought one in a holder. But this is the first time I ever found one sealed in plastic or acrylic. $4.99 Canadian, that's pretty cheap. But I thought it was really cool. Most of the time, if they ever find them in the wild, I would say most of them would be like in Eastern Canada where there's a larger population. I guess, you know, more coins circulating around, but 500,000 of these quarters is like just a drop of the bucket. That's like, to us, super rare, you know, very hard to find. As I said, it took me like 10 years of coin roll hunting quarters and striking out so many times, and I actually found one because I actually looked at the dates. See, it's not always just silver that you want to look for. Sometimes there are some collectible coins that are not silver, that are found in rolls. All right, and then the biggest pieces from the Salvation Army, I bought these two. I think they're made by Pierre. Yeah, funny name. They're sterling, but they're weighted. But they're huge. All right. So it's like a candelabra, 3 candles. But the really nifty thing is, right, they were $14.99 each, but you know, it's a little bit pricey at the time. You know, I would rather these things be more like $7.99, like half of that. I didn't have a coupon at the time, which might have knocked off $10 if I bought the two together. But, you know, I wasn't about to let these go. So here it says La Pierre sterling, weighted reinforced. All right. But they're convertible. So I screwed off one and became a single candle holder. And look at this. Look at the quality. And this is marked as well. Same thing, La Pierre sterling, weighted reinforced. So that's a lot. I think there's quite a bit of sterling, you know. just the way they designed it. But they are very usable. I think I saw online someone was listing a pair for like $300. I mean, probably won't get $300, but I think if I out the door price, I don't know, like $100, 100 and a quarter for sure, right? But silver wise, you know, let's say at least 2 to 3 ounces if you scrap it all out. 2 to 3 ounces each, my guess. So that's 6 ounces times, up in Canada, $20 an ounce. 6 ounces, I'm talking pure, you know, give or take, right? So that's $120 scrap value. So I could get at least $120 of scrap value for these. For sure, someone would pay, you know, they're still very usable, very nice. But yeah, so these are my finds. Not bad. I would have made a video sooner, but just, you know, that's with life. Things get busy, you know, these things sort of stack up. But better late than never, guys. Look at that cartwheeling effect on that quarter. So they threw mint coins into this thing. Crazy. So, oh, here's a bit of story time. Just show you these things again. Yeah, a little bit of story time. Popped into our local antique shop near the house because I know the owner. I met him years ago at the big flea market we have in Vancouver. And he opened the shop to keep his wife busy, you know. He wheels and deals in, I think he had like, no, he only has like one booth at the flea market. And you know, he buys a lot of scrap gold and silver and antiques and jewelry, like, you know, he's a horse trader, you know, but with some pricey stuff. You know, before I knew him, you know, he'd say, "What are you looking for?" You know, like, he was very, you could say, I don't know, very short, you know, like as in, you know, like if you're not there to buy anything, then, you know, like move along. But, you know, he started warming up after, you know, seeing me a few times and chatting and saying, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, it's always like that, you know, people that seem sort of a little bit hard on the outside, they start to melt once they get to know you. Then that's when the stories come out, the best stories. So yeah, I mean, like, I didn't know that he opened a shop near my house, and I popped in and it's like, "Hey, I know you." Let's call him Mr. A, all right? So Mr. A, you know, now we're sort of like on friendly talking terms, you know, because I'm not just some random stranger anymore, right? So he knows I collect. He knows I just do it for fun. I always tell him, you know, always tell him, "Oh, I just went to the Salvation Army a block away from your store and I got this and that and blah, blah, blah." He goes, "I can't," you know, he tells me, Mr. A says, "I can't be bothered with doing that. I run a business. You know, I buy estates, a few pieces of sterling for a few bucks here and there. It's not worth my time." And actually, I was being very nice. That day, I think there was like a wooden fork with a hollow sterling handle. And he listed for $8 on his table, and it said like silver plate. And I said, "Hey, just to let you know, this is actually sterling." You know, I thought, you know, sometimes you got to give some nuggets back, you know, be nice and tell people how it is, right? And he goes, I know, but you know, things don't move, and it's only a single. It was a single fork, not a pair. That he didn't care, you know, he would have just end up scrapping it anyways, because he scraps a lot of the junky stuff. You know, he's a businessman. He knows things have to move to make money. So, you know, I guess he appreciated that I was, you know, being honest, and I told him, but he already knew, you know. Then he started telling me the stories. He said he collected precious metals and antiques since he was a little kid, just like me, you know. I mean, I wasn't a collector, but really, when I was like, I guess 12 years old, I started, popping into the antique stores downtown just to look, sort of like to educate myself. I was always a very curious person. I always like to learn about stuff, learn about history. So I guess, we're like-minded. And he said, his father taught him. And he said, going back 20 years ago, I think we were like saying about, we're talking about how the internet changed things, how people who are not really collectors, but they pull out their smartphones and, just Google what something sold online on eBay or whatnot. So generally people have a good idea of what their stuff's worth. But he said back about 15, 20 years ago, before smartphones and, eBay and internet and all that stuff, he said that he'd pop into places like Value Village, which is the worst to find deals, because they check everything and they are actually for profit, I always say. But, they're related to the company Savers. And it's probably the same in the States, the way they run things. So he used to go there, and every day he would see things. I don't know about every day, but he would go in there, see things like, oh, gold ring, $20 in the case, or silver rings, $1 each. He would find stuff so regularly that he tells me, he would say, oh, you know what? I bought enough. I'm just going to leave that for other people, that's a nice guy, right? Leave stuff for other collectors. All right. So you don't find that these days that often. So after he comes back, days later and it's still there, then he goes, it's meant to be, I'll just buy it. So he told me it was so easy finding stuff left and right, like sterling silver, gold, precious metals, gold, jewelry with real gemstones, antiques, what have you, for like pennies on the dollar. To the point that, he started to become, sort of picky, I wish, I can attain that skill. I mean, that's definitely he's a master, right? It's just like his collecting kung fu, right? But yeah, after a while, it's just like small potatoes to him. And I guess that's when, he started to have a business of buying and selling and, buying whole estates. And yeah, I thought that was really cool. Like, someone has the knowledge, even back then when things were a lot more slower and there was a lot more goodies on the shelves, unknown to a lot of people and the workers, that someone could use their knowledge to take advantage of the situation. No, that sounds like bad, right? But I mean, like, in a good way, like recognizing value in front of them when other people are totally ignorant or like blind to it. So, I really appreciate that there's more people out there, of course, like me, that I always like to find the beauty of things, that's right in plain sight, that is so undervalued that, it'd be crazy not to pick it up. So that was my story. Mr. A, pretty cool guy. Store is a pretty, cool place. Really interesting things. Anyways, I promise on my next video, I actually had some more things, but it was just like too much stuff. But I got a lot more antiques to show you guys. Really cool stuff. You won't be disappointed. Anyways, this proves and shows you, look at the variety, that at the thrift stores, you could find pretty much anything. I mean, literally anything. But I'll just do a little flyby again. But if you guys have any questions, you can email me at coinpicker@hotmail.com. That's the channel's email. And if you'd like to send me a letter or donate some items that you think would be cool to present online to our fellow viewers, or you want to donate, a few dollars towards the thrift store fund so we can pick up some more goodies, feel free. I have my P.O. box below as usual. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Coinpicker out.